Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, Saki here, and welcome back to another episode of Kerbal Space Program. It has been quite a while since I've recorded Kerbal in my Kerbal Space Program 1.2 for Absolute Beginners tutorial, but we are back with the brand new Making History expansion. Let's just start the game and focus on the missions included. And mission number 1 is the dawn of the space age, and I gave it a little bit of a try off camera to get a feel for it, so I'll go ahead and reset it, start from scratch, and let's go through this together, shall we? The ultimate goal of this particular mission is to launch Jebnik 1, the analogous to Sputnik. So, baby steps here. Gene Kerman says, okay, the dawn of the space age, launch a basic rocket. Outstanding. So, we have some requirements that we have to do, and this is the one time that we have to get it right. The one thing about the mission system is, because it's based on score, it's not about redoing over and over, it's going through it all and seeing what your final score is when you fail. So, we have to be on point as much as we can. That's our only requirement, but of course this isn't going to go anywhere. Our selection is very limited as far as our parts go, but we'll go ahead and put on the R10 hammer, like so. And as you can see, the rest of the parts, we have a few fairings there. We've got some wings. Let's put on some wings for some control. Let's do 4. That should be pretty stable enough. And then we want to make sure that it comes back home, so a parachute will be good to go. And we want to make sure that that is pretty much on the center of mass. That way it's not going to droop. Something like that should be fine. Next thing is to check our staging. So as you can see, our parachute opens at the same time as our solid rocket booster. We don't want that to happen. But we are not clear for launch because the vessel's mass is too heavy. It's 4.1 tons and we need 3.3. Let's lower the amount of solid fuel in our tank. Drop it right below that 3.3 at 3.26. And let's lower the thrust limiter just a bit. We don't need 100% of the time, and I think we are ready to go. So we will start the mission, and I believe they want us to head towards the island. Ready to go after that loading screen. We need to reach the airfield east of the Kerbal Space Center, and it's right over here. More easterly than southeast. Southeast would take us over here. We'll just try to eyeball this. We want to go east-southeast, probably right here in between the 135 and the 90. Oh, we didn't check our staging here. Let's go ahead and adjust that. Luckily, staging can be done on the launch pad. 3, 2, 1, go! Alright, something like this. We can try to keep our altitude up. And this looks like a pretty solid shot, I'm not gonna lie. We'll adjust our heading just a bit. And let's see if we can increase our altitude just a touch. Raise that up there. Now I think we are going to reach 5,000 meters. There we go. Now we'll have to land on the runway, and unfortunately I don't think we are going to make it there quite. Now our apoapsis is going to start dropping, and now we're plummeting towards the ocean, but that's okay. I'm not going for maximum score here, just to go through the mission a bit with you and see what it entails. Let's go ahead and pop our parachute at 1,500 meters. At 1,000, it's going to open up fully and slow us right down. And since we put it right on the center of mass, well, we tried, the rocket should be fairly parallel to the surface. We're a little bit behind it, but not too awful bad. We'll just time accelerate down to the surface and recover the vessel. Coming in for a smooth water landing, and there we go, splash down. It works. We can start building bigger and better rockets. That's the spirit. So now we'll head back to the Kerbal Space Center and go on to part 2 of this particular mission. We gained some science here. Now, if I wanted to revert back to the vehicle assembly building and we didn't complete that task, the vehicle building would be locked. You would click that and nothing would happen. That means you have to restart the mission. So very important that trial and error I've done this mission several times and failed on the third one, so I've gone through these a little bit. Next, we have to put on a thermometer. And one design that I saw works was putting the small fuel tank below the probodobodyne there. That's going to be the only thing we're going to bring back, so we'll put on one parachute, and then we'll put on our thermometer as well, which is a requirement for a launch, so we'll put that right there. Next thing we want to do is get a decoupler right below the rocket, and then we're going to put a fairing on to help our aerodynamic properties a bit. We'll just extend that out past the parachute, go straight up, and then make a big a point as possible. So now we have our probe inside the fairing. As far as fuel tanks go, I believe we can get away with 2 of the 800 fuel tanks. Engines, we kind of want one that gimbals. That way we can have some pitch authority. And the swivel is the gimbling engine. So we will put that on there. That'll give us a little bit more control of our rocket. Do we have any... Alright, so we don't have any separators. But we do have some winglets. So of course we'll need some stabilization here. Let's go ahead and add 4 winglets. And that should be good enough to get us off of the ground. I'm hoping anyway. We can put some solid rocket boosters on the side to help our ascent. And since they are going to be dropped anyway, I mean, it may be worth it to put them on there just for that extra boost. Let's go ahead and drop the thrust limiter down a bit. Should be fine. So that's fine. Okay. I think we're all set. So the solid rocket boosters fire, and we kind of want our engine to fire at the same time. Then our fairing pops, then the probodobodyne comes down. Yeah, I don't think any need to add an engine to this. I think we're just doing a 48,000 meter, take a temperature reading, and return to Kerbal. So that is going to be our goal. We're going to continue our mission here and launch in an easterly direction as best we can. So here at the launch pad, we need to hit 48,000. I think we should be okay here. Let's go ahead and go straight up as possible. Alright, rocket wants to lean over just a bit. That's unfortunate. We'll try to keep it as vertical as we can here. We may increase the thrust just a touch on that gimbling rocket to help us turn, but we are picking up a lot of speed. We're starting to nose on over here. And now the rocket is wanting to go naturally following that thrust vector. Let's go ahead and throttle up then. I think we should be fine. Once we start interacting with the atmosphere, we'll throttle down and save some fuel here. We're getting through the thickest part of the atmosphere okay though, almost to 6,000 meters. And really picking up speed. I like the natural arc that the rocket is taking. We're starting to slow down a bit because we lost that those solid rocket boosters. Let's go ahead and go maximum thrust and see if we can really start to pitch over here. We're through the highest part. We need to sort of stay right there on the 45 and keep our altitude up. We're going to start to slip and lose some speed here though. Hopefully we can get out of the atmosphere a little bit quicker. That way we don't have to worry about losing speed to getting off this thrust vector. We still have a positive climb and positive speed gain, which is all the more important. And 48,000 isn't really that high of an altitude to achieve. We just need the speed and the altitude to get there, and that seems sort of self-explanatory, but certainly this mission could go a whole lot worse. We're not trying to achieve an orbit, so we didn't need to be as precise. We're really starting to pick up speed at now, 740 meters a second. Once we can get up to 800, 900 meters a second, we actually have a little bit of extra fuel that we're carrying with us here. I don't know if we're actually going to need it though. Once this engine cuts, I'm going to see what our altitude is. But we should clear 48,000. If not, then we'll just pump some extra fuel in here. All right. Main engine cutoff. Look at our map, and we will achieve 94,000 meters and splash down in the ocean. So I think we're good. As a matter of fact, we might be able to slow down a bit. So what we'll do is we will pop our fairing, take the temperature reading, keep that experiment, and now we have our temperature. Bring it down in the Eastern Ocean if you can. So right about there. So let's pump some of this extra fuel out of this particular fuel tank. We'll see if we can spin on around and see if we can slow down ourselves to land right where they want us to. Let's actually do it at Apoaps. Use some of our maneuver nodes here. Get a direction going. That way we kind of know the direction we want to burn in. All right, so 615 meters a second. Let's very lightly turn on the engine so we can rotate the rocket. And it'll be a 16-second burn, and I don't know if we actually have 16 seconds worth of fuel in us, but that should be good enough. I'll do the ye olde time acceleration stop trick. Time accelerating right there to halt the rocket. And then at T-minus 8 seconds, we'll just burn full throttle and then detach. 10, 9, burn. We'll keep that right on the marker until we run out of fuel or until the maneuver is complete, whichever one comes first. Let's actually hold that there. Now the planet will rotate under us and we're going to start to get some air resistance, so I think that should be good enough. Let's go ahead and separate while we can. And once we dip back in the atmosphere, we're really going to start slowing down a bit. And I'm just going to let this thing fall naturally. Yeah, 7.7 charge. We want to make sure that we have enough charge to pop those parachutes, or the one parachute. There we go. Really start interacting with the atmosphere now. Looks like we're sort of heavy on the probe, but we're slowing down quite quickly. Yeah, we're not even getting much re-entry heat at all. And now we're going to start getting into the thick stuff and really start slowing down. Now, once we are safe to pop the parachute, we will do so, but we should hit terminal velocity pretty quickly. And we're low enough now that we can hit the parachute without much worry. We'll wait until 1,500 meters, though, and that will slow us pretty much right down. We're only going 80 meters a second as it is. Should be plenty of safety. Well, 2 charge. I wanted to hit that before we lost the ability to hit the parachute. Should be fine. But I'll head on down to 1,000 meters and see you on splashdown. Coming in for a smooth splashdown here. There we go. Probe is good. All right, a satellite that can orbit Kerbal. Do not let us down. We will recover the vessel and build the final product of Mission 1. That is the Jebnik launcher. So once again, vehicle assembly building. They give us an extra probe for a little bit more charge. We'll go ahead and take the Probe-A-Doba-Dyne Q and make sure it attaches, of course. Now, we don't want to run out of power, that is for sure, so some batteries might not be a bad thing. So we'll put on 4 batteries here, like so. And that should be a lot of charge. It's going to be, whoop, that's the KSpedia. Yeah, 100 per battery pack, so 400 charge plus what is on the probe. We also want to maneuver this guy on his own up there in space once we separate. So I believe 4 fuel tanks should be enough, maybe 3. Now what we want to do is put on these little twitch liquid engines on him for maximum maneuvering. And as a matter of fact, let's see what the center of mass is right there. So we'll put these engines right there on the center of mass. Try to give it the best chance of maneuvering, and that should be fine. So now we are ready to have this decoupled, like so. And then we want the fairing to cover the entire ship, so that should be fine. And as you can see by the size of the fairing, it's anticipating a pretty big fuel payload below us. So we'll go up, we'll point it out, make it nice and streamlined. And that should be the Sputnik right there. Now we need to get this thing up in the orbit, which requires these big fuel tanks. Now the one thing that is the requirement for this particular mission, and let's see if I can get it up here, the vehicle has to be 30 tons. So we have to get 20 more tons here, which can be done with this big fuel tank. And we need some extra stages. That should be fine. We are in 2 stages. That fits the need. And the thing about this mission is we do not start on the equator, but Sputnik needs to be in an equatorial orbit. So we need some extra boosting power. And I think 2 of these engines here, or 2 of these fuel tanks here powered by engines, should be fine. So that should be good. Actually, matter of fact, I think I want to separate these guys out. So we'll put on 2 radial decouplers. And then put these guys right there on the radial decoupler. And of course, we will strap that down with the struts. Like so. Alright, so now we need some engines for this bad boy. And the engines they give us are these Kodiak engines. And as you can see, it doesn't exactly fit. But one thing that this, the new expansion comes with is the ability to put on shrouds. So we do have the shroud enabled for the bottom section. We will do the same thing for these guys here, the big shrouds. We need some aerodynamic fins to make sure that these guys stay where they should be. So that should have put a fin opposite there. No, it didn't. So we're going to have to manually place these things. That is fine. Something like that. Oh, I see what you did there. I see. You get off of there. Alright, so we have some fins there on that section. Let's put 4 basic fins on the bottom of this section. And then what we need, because we do not have any attitude control, we need these engines here, the Werner engines, which gimbal. And we're definitely going to need, how about 4 of those on the bottom and 2 each on these sections here. Should be fine. Make sure they are all set to gimbal. Yes, indeed. All right, let's complete that up. So now we have some pitch authority, and now we look at our staging here. So we have all of our engines firing on the bottom. Well, no, we don't need, well, yeah, we do need those for the attitude control. We also need our main engines to fire. We also need these to fire and these to fire. All right, so that is the separation. So we want that to happen at the same time. Then we pop our fairing. Then we pop the decoupler. And then we have just 4 engines on this thing to get it going where it needs to be. All right, let's get this thing on the launch pad and get going. This is it, the first vessel to leave Kerbin's atmosphere and orbit the planet. Don't be nervous. All right, so we are here in the remote wilderness of the north of Kerbin, and the projected Sputnik orbit is going to be pretty much right on the 90. So what we're going to need to do is launch southeast and then make our adjustment once we get down there. So southeast is a must, and that is going to be there at the 135. Let's turn SAS on. Let's keep it medium throttle here and see what happens, and go! So we have some pitch authority here. We are climbing, but mainly side slipping. So there we go. Let's pick up some altitude here. Let's pick up some speed. Keep on that southeasterly direction. And we are really pitching over now. Looks like we have more lateral authority than roll authority. So let's see if we can point this sort of downward a bit. There we go. And there we go. We'll just maintain that attitude right there if we can. All right, let's pick up speed. We're burning up a lot of fuel on that outside. Still plenty of fuel, though, in the... All right. Yes, we've begun our gravity turn. Probably a bit too early, but nah. We'll see if we can figure it out. We're really starting to climb. We're starting to interact with the atmosphere. Let's tone it down just a bit. Now, once we get up out of the atmosphere, we should be fine. And what's interesting is it looks like those engines on the side are losing fuel first, which is fascinating indeed. But we're about to lose those engines, so let's go full power. Get as much out of them as we can. There they go. Separate. And now we've just got the main stack. We're going up nice and easy. All right, we're starting to get some shock heating. Let's slow that right down. Yeah, really start to slow down. We're increasing our speed tremendously with our dagger shooting into space. We can almost pop that fairing now as well to lighten the load. All right, so that should be fine. Let's do main engine cutoff right there. Let's get to our apoaps and then add a little bit of thrust here. And we kind of want to start making our turn as well using this fuel. So we'll do something like that. We'll at least get a general direction. How's our battery power doing? Plenty of electric charge. 1 minute away. Okay, let's go ahead and since we're out of the atmosphere, pop the fairing. All right, so we should establish an orbit, and there you see the projected path that Sputnik should be in, and that right there is the marker that tells you the direction of orbit. It's going to be in a 99 by 100,000 orbit. So we're going to need a lot of fuel, and we need a lot of control here. I just turned on the engines just a smidgen to get the rocket pivoting. And then I'll do the time accelerate trick. And then at 20 seconds or so, let's go ahead and burn and get our orbit sort of jimmied sideways here. We're side slipping a bit. Getting most of our work done with this stage. Now let's see if we can go ahead and turn it on east if we can. All right, let's cut the engines there and see what we got. Should be good. Let's go ahead and with the remaining fuel we have so we can play around. Oops, didn't mean to go full throttle. Let's go prograde if we can. And then get an orbit here. And we're almost to our apoaps. So let's go ahead and burn prograde as best we can. And at least get ourselves into an orbit that we can be proud of. Then Sputnik will have to do the rest. All right, there we go. So now we have still a little bit of fuel, so why not use it, right? Let's go ahead down to our descending node and see what kind of delta V it would take to get us pointed the correct way. Something like that. All right, let's go ahead and tweak it just a touch. At least to where we can get planar. Once we can get planar, Sputnik can do the rest. A 36-second burn. I don't believe we have the fuel on board to do such a thing. But we can at least get the job done and try it, shall we? All right, let's give it just a little bit of thrust and get it pointed toward the maneuver node. And then at T minus, let's say 20, we'll go ahead and burn everything we got, and then it'll be up to old Sputnik to do the rest. All right, there we go. Let's give just a little bit of fuel so I can adjust, cut the throttle, and then we'll fast forward to T minus 20 seconds. Why not? I'll go ahead and start turning and then boost for everything you got. Keep us pointed right there. Go ahead and cancel out as much as we can. All right, we brought our orbit back down. All right, let's go throttle down completely and separate, and then it will be up to little Sputnik to do the rest. All right, so we've got a 52. Okay, we're going to have to raise our apoaps up just a bit. Let's go ahead and focus on that. Oh, we need to turn our engines on. Just a minor burn so we can rotate. That's retrograde. Let's just shoot a little bit prograde. Get an orbit, at least so where we don't fall back in the atmosphere, and then we can do our inclination change right after that. All right, we'll speed boost and knock it out. And then we'll just burn right there. Okay, that was a little aggressive, but we should be good. All right, so since our apoaps is our slowest point, we will go ahead and try to adjust our inclination right about here on this side. Add our maneuver. Drop this bad boy down. Something like that. I mean, it would be close. And what's that burn going to be like? A 15-second burn, 800 meters a second. All right, let's go ahead and warp to our next maneuver then. Ten, 9, 8, 7, go. So we're knocking out our inclination here. And hopefully, this will keep us with enough fuel. That right there was the heavy lifting. That was the hardest part to do. All right, so where is our ascending and descending nodes now? All right, so that's our descending node right there. Let's see if we can align this guy a little bit more. We need to raise our inclination up just a touch. Yeah, something like that. Should be close enough for government work. A 1-second burn. Pretty happy with that. Right, 309 as far as the charge goes. That should be good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go ahead and knock that out and then cut. All right, what did that give us? Pretty close. All right, so our periaps is 180. We need to bring that right down to 99 or 100. All right, so 100,000 meters for our peri. So let's go ahead and drop that a touch. All right, let's give it just a little bit of thrust. Cut. There we go. And that should be cut. So we're looking at a 123. Let's go ahead and burn just a little bit more on our parry until we reach 110 or 100 on the dot. Boom, 100,000. Now on our parry apps, we will do the same thing. We'll just add a little bit of retrograde until we line up pretty much like so. Yeah, that should be good. So a 2-second burn. Outstanding. We're already floating in that direction. Let me Alt time accelerate here until we get around. How's our 283 on the charge? Please last a half an orbit. That's all we need you to do. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and burn, and okay, yep. We'll keep on burning, keep on burning, keep on burning. And cut. Now, is that good enough? All of Kerbin shall hear a radio signal, and just imagine what we've unlocked today. However, we cannot risk our rocket technology falling into the wrong hands. Destroy Jebnik 1. Interesting. So, we've got 217 electric charge. I think we can just burn retrograde here until we get into the atmosphere. Let's put it down to 19,000 meters, because I don't see a target of which to hit, so that should be fine. All right, let's go on and fast forward. We should get to the light side of the planet here, and then destroy our satellite. A picturesque view of Jebnik 1 burning up in the upper atmosphere. Although we actually may slow down quick enough that we will not be destroyed on re-entry, which is interesting. There's the sun. And this is a nice symbol for the sunrise of a new age. We are now a spacefaring race. And yeah, we slowed down right quick. And we do need to destroy Jebnik 1. So I wonder if I can pick up more speed here. Okay. Well, I don't know what we just did there. We're definitely going to crash, but I think we used up all of our fuel. Oh, we are under time acceleration mode. That's why. All right, so we should be picking up a lot of speed here. Going to crash in the hills, it seems. We're slowing down a bit. Hopefully our probe actually does get destroyed. I think at this speed we should. Yep, there's the ground scatter, and hold your nose, because here goes the cold water. Boom! All right. So 8,500 points, bronze award. We completed the mission with the bronze score. So splashing awarded 1,000 points, awarded 1,000 points, 1,000 there, splashing down, and then Jebnik destroyed. Save and quit. Awesome, so that is mission 1 done. Ladies and gentlemen, our next mission will take us to Trouble in the Void. How well you perform under pressure or lack thereof. You've made it to orbit in Valshad 2 in our first crewed missions, but something's about to go terribly wrong. So that will be in the next episode, ladies and gentlemen, of Kerbal Space Program. Like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next Kerbal Space Program video. Take care.